Hello and welcome to Teenagers Untangled, the audio hub for parents going through the teenage years. I'm Rachel Richards, journalist, parenting coach, mother of 2 teenagers and 2 bonus daughters. And the 2 teenagers are back again. Hello girls, thanks for coming back in.
Hello.
Hi.
We now have our own microphones. You each have your own microphones.
Finally.
How luxurious is that? We're in the big time, yay. Okay. We're going to talk today about helping girls through those first stages of puberty, navigating toxic friendships, and the term pick-me girls. What on earth are they talking about? Anyway, this time, let's start with the one Susie and I have already discussed, but I thought it's really good to hear it from a younger girl's perspective. The question was, I'm a mum of 3 girls. I've noticed my 9-year-old has become very self-conscious around me. And when I try to talk to her, there's no engagement whatsoever. She's clearly very uncomfortable. I believe it's related to body changes, which my 11-year-old is not yet experiencing. I've made numerous attempts to give her space and discuss things, including writing notes, which she totally ignored, hanging around, folding, washing, near her, that sort of thing, like lurking. She's just not opening up. What do you suggest, girls?
Writing notes is an interesting one. I don't think I've heard of anybody doing that before.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing.
No.
I think if I was going through something and my mum started leaving notes for me, I would be a bit like, what? What's going on? Really?
No, I mean, she clearly feels really sort of embarrassed and ashamed, which is obviously something that she shouldn't be feeling. But I would say that, if she doesn't feel comfortable confiding in her mum, then there's clearly a problem there rather than it's not that, like the bodily changes, which is the problem. It's
interesting. Yes.
I feel like rather than just trying to front foot and say, is this what you're experiencing? She should just try to have a conversation, not about that, but just about their relationship in general, perhaps.
Oh, interesting. Hadn't thought of that one.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Also, if you do want to address the body changes thing, maybe what you should do, or what she should do, is sit both of them down and talk to them both and be like, okay, people go through these from like the age of 9 till the age of like 13, and like if you haven't started going through them, then blah, because then hopefully that'll make her feel more comfortable because it's not directed at her.
Yes.
Because then it'd be like, okay, this is for you. But if you've been leaving notes around for her to find, I think the problem, like the main issue with that, I feel, is that you're trying to communicate with her, but at the same time not.
Right.
So you're trying to have a conversation with her without actually having a conversation with her.
Fascinating.
Which I can see the thought process, but I think that that's probably not the best way to go.
Yeah.
Because then she obviously can't talk back or communicate back.
Yeah. Yeah. I did wonder because I think we adults set the tone for what feels acceptable to talk about. And I think we need to be clear that it's actually fine. It's completely normal. And we have to find a way of setting that stage, don't we? Because I think girls, someone who's 9 probably doesn't have any friends going through that and probably feels like there's something wrong with her.
Yeah.
Okay, I like those responses. And what about another question, which was, how do you get your daughter to wear their first bra? Like comfort, getting used to it?
You don't.
Oh, talk more.
Well, I'm really against that idea. I think, obviously, you can explain to them what a bra is and the purpose of a bra, but if she doesn't want to, then you don't make them. Simple as that. I think for a girl to feel comfortable in her body, not wearing a bra is such an important thing. And obviously, like, they serve a purpose, but bras are tools,
Mm-hmm.
you can wear them to feel good about yourself, but equally, if she's perfectly happy without wearing a bra, then don't make her feel ashamed for not wearing one. I put pressure on her.
I completely agree
to wear a bra if she doesn't want to. I think.
Yeah, and also you can kind of relax about that kind of issue because at some point she will stop wearing a bra because they become cool at a certain age.
Yeah.
It's like everybody wants to get their first bra at a certain age, and I don't think you should pressure anybody under that age because also make her feel very different to everybody else if they don't have one.
Yeah.
I think kids are very aware about these things, and And when she becomes conscious that she feels like she needs to wear one, that's when she'll step forward and say, oh, I would like to wear one.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't at the moment, then there's no point.
Yeah.
I do
continue.
I do wonder whether mothers, particularly from certain backgrounds, will worry about the male gaze. And I know that when I spoke to Amma, who comes from a Desi, so an Indian background, said that she was constantly being forced to cover up from a very young age when any male entered the house. And I wonder whether it's linked to our fears.
So, but if they're not even wearing their first bra yet, then I think that shouldn't be the forefront. That shouldn't be the biggest issue in your mind.
Yeah.
I think that, like,
you just wore crop tops, didn't you?
Yeah,
for quite a while.
But also, if your daughter doesn't feel uncomfortable about it, then you shouldn't feel uncomfortable either.
Yes.
Like if she then starts getting unwanted attention from boys that starts bothering her, then it's a problem.
Yeah.
But if she's not being bothered by anything, or she doesn't mind it, then there's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't create a problem when there isn't.
Yeah, I think one of an issue that comes up quite a lot is women are scared when they're, I mean, I know quite a few women, teenagers, girls who are scared when they're around men who they don't know, because they're scared that they're going to be like objectified or whatever, and they don't like wearing revealing clothing because of the male gaze. My question is this because we push that it's like a bad thing? I mean, if you feel uncomfortable in yourself, that's completely fine. Cover up, don't wear whatever you like, wear what you feel comfortable wearing. But do you think that they feel uncomfortable because they actually do feel uncomfortable, or do you think they feel uncomfortable because people have told them to feel uncomfortable?
Yeah. And when I interviewed Joanne Finkelstein, who wrote Sexism and Sensibility, she made some amazing points about how early the comments about girls' bodies and clothing happen and how frequent they are. And it's nowhere near as frequent with boys. And it causes so much internal dissatisfaction and confusion. And the less we say, the better.
Also, why are we telling girls to cover up and not teaching young boys not to stare at girls? I mean, what's wrong? Like,
you girls have both complained about that when boys come up, whether you're wearing a bra or not, they'll basically talk to your boobs.
Yeah.
That's normal. They're going to be interested, aren't they?
If you're scared about the male gaze, isn't it better to have conversations with the boys? Because then that will be stopping the forefront of the issue there, instead of having conversations with girls about how they need to cover up because of the male gaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's more, obviously, this mother can't do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
no.
but
generally,
like, in example,
I think clearly the daughter is in a blissful state of, goodness and her. Yeah, because it's true. There's, you hit a certain age and then you suddenly become, it's like you wake up one day and then you're suddenly conscious of your, it's a really weird thing.
Yeah.
Like, I remember just not having any kind of self-perception. Like, I would look in a mirror and I would just see myself and I wouldn't criticize myself or anything. Like, it was really weird. And so I think this daughter is still living in that state. So you don't force it on her, because when you start making a child feel shame about that, even if you're not trying to make her feel ashamed, even if you just say, I think you should wear a bra, that inherently it might come across.
Well, someone commented to you, didn't they?
Yeah, I remember being young and being told that it was time for me to wear a bra, and it wasn't by my mother, which I feel like also had an impact, because I was like, oh, people are seeing something that I didn't realize was an issue before, and then it became an issue, and then it kind of, I suddenly had this awareness that if your daughter doesn't feel like she needs to wear one, then then it's
why does she not grow up?
She's not ready.
Yeah, but what about if the mother thinks, well, maybe other people will comment and make her uncomfortable, maybe I'm the person who needs to tell her?
Well, I
hate that logic.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm only saying that because I wasn't the person who said that, but someone else did.
I agree, and that was my experience. But I think until that point, like, I hadn't thought it was an issue, and I didn't think it was an issue. Exactly. So no one felt like I needed to wear a bra, including myself. And so I feel like, I don't know, at that point, that was when I was like, oh, I need to start wearing a bra. Well, I didn't even wear a bra, I just wore a crop top. But that I think clearly the daughter doesn't feel like she needs. So I feel like there's no point in trying to protect your kids from these things, because, when someone comments, that's clearly...
It's going to happen anyway.
It's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Also, I hate the whole, oh, yeah, I need to tell my daughter this because if I don't tell her, no one else will. Like, how? So, because I know a lot of teenage girls who end up getting insulted by their parents, quite a lot because of that logic. And my point is, if nobody else is going to tell them, then it shouldn't be that big of an issue. If it's something like, okay, wearing deodorant, okay, then that's fine. But if it's like, I don't know, you need to put more makeup on or something like that, that just shouldn't even be on your radar. Like, as a mother, I
don't think a parent would say that though.
I've heard people who have.
What? I think that's rare.
But yeah, I don't think we have to sit here and say don't tell your kids to wear more makeup.
No, but my point is that don't think in the way, okay, if I don't tell my kid to do this, and like if I don't tell my kid about this, then nobody else will.
Right. That's a good point. So let's move on. What about toxic friendships? One parent asked us to talk about tips for navigating toxic friendships. And I guess the question we should start with is, what's a toxic friendship?
I mean, I think I've been quite fortunate in my friendships, but for a long time, for me, it was basically no friends to the most amazing friends, because I think also, like, I was in a certain state of my life where I was like, if no one's going to be like my best friend, then I don't want anyone, basically. Yes. It's like, okay, fine, none of you want to be friends with me, I don't need you either. But I think toxic friendships are ones where you just don't feel secure at all. Like, you know, they're not showing up for you in the way that you would expect a friend to. They're like, you don't feel like they've got your back, or they'll give you attention and then, you just don't feel secure.
Or deliberately undermining. Like frenemies.
Yeah.
I had so much experience in this field.
Yeah, I mean, she's probably more versed on this.
I have had some very good friendships. I've also had some not great friendships. And I currently have only kept like 2 of those friendships. But yeah, I think toxic friendships, everybody, I think at some stage goes through a toxic friendship. I mean, you said you'd be very lucky, but I
have had toxic friends. Yeah, but that was when I was young.
And I feel like most people have been toxic at some point. Like, I don't think you can go through life without accidentally or on purpose putting down other people at some point. People go through phases. And I think that the most important thing is to realise that it's not about you. Like,
very interesting.
I know, so a couple of people at my old school who are very, like, they put you down a lot, but in very, very small ways. And constantly over long periods of time, so that if you told somebody like, okay, this is what they said to me, it would be like, what do you mean that's not that bad? Like, that's fine. Like, that's just, what are you overreacting?
Microdosing
but there was so much of it. It was like, and all the time, it was very like, okay, you're just making me feel crap about myself all the time. Anyway, I think the most important thing to realize is that they are projecting. Everybody's projecting. Especially teenagers.
There's a difference between, like you said, kind of toxic. But we can all be toxic at times. That's not necessarily what makes it a toxic friendship. Like, some friendships, some dynamics are inherently toxic. And it's just, in those circumstances, you can't really change it, because it's the way that friendship has formed. And I actually wouldn't really call it a friendship. I think toxic friendships are an oxymoron.
Very good point.
That's actually a friendship.
Because there's tricky friendships where navigating it, sometimes things are like, I've had friends where they do certain things that really upset me, or they say they're going to pay for something, then they never deliver the money. And because I still like them and I still value them, I ring fence that area so that I don't expose myself to the difficult things. Those are tricky friendships, but they're not toxic. Like, these are not people who are horrible to me and cruel to me,
I think,
undermine me.
I think with toxic friendships, you need to remember your worth.
Yes.
You need to remember.
That's the difficult thing.
Also what would happen is, like, so it would be like with these friendships, it would be like they would put a lot of energy in and then take it away. So, like, love bombing, but I guess in a friendship way.
So you never quite know where you are.
I then would be like trying to put in as much energy as possible, and be like really, really over the top, like nice to them, which would just make everything a lot worse, because then it seemed like I was coming across as fake. because I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of fake, because it's like I'm not actually that like people pleaser.
But nobody is.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'm not actually a people pleaser like that in that way. But I began acting like that because I wanted them to like me.
Because you didn't know what it was that would make them like you, and they should like you because you're just you.
I think what the most important thing is to remember your worth, and remember that even if no matter how much energy you put in, if you're not receiving it, then it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I think you made a really good point, which is that, you know, there are issues with all friendships, and it's kind of, the difficulty is working out which ones are worth trying to salvage, which ones, you know, you do need to just end. And I think especially when you're young, it's very difficult to work out, you know, and also to set boundaries. Like it's hard to learn. And I think that's the first thing you need to do, actually, is go, what am I actually looking for in a friendship? What kind of friend do I want to be? And what do I expect from my friends? And make sure that you're fulfilling both of those things. Because if you're not being a good friend, then how can you expect other people to love you as well? But also you go, okay, what are my, you know, my boundaries? What do I expect from people? And if they're not meeting those boundaries, don't like outright cut people off, but you know, like give them that feedback and say, look, this is how this is coming across to me, and then if things don't start changing, and also if you don't see a friendship as, you know, being fulfilling or being worth it, then I definitely think there's something to be said for cutting people off. I really do. And I know it's quite kind of extreme in some circumstances, but sometimes that's what you need to do. Because if someone's taking your energy and it's not fulfilling in any way, then,
especially if you try and have conversations about what's going on, and they kind of react in a way which is not very interested in, or like they kind of just don't, they're like, oh well, I'm sorry, well, I didn't realize that, like defensive. Defensive, that's it.
Because I believe there are people out there for everyone. Like everyone has
for sure
someone out there, not necessarily like a soulmate, but a friend, anything,
who gets them.
Who and they might not have them right now, but they will be there in the future. And I do believe that having a very, very small group of friends is much better than a big group of friends which are toxic and causing you a lot more stress and you know,
and also while you're wasting time in that toxic group trying to fit in, the person who might be the perfect fit for you or a good fit for you probably was looking at you thinking, oh, she's having a great time, she's not for me. So in some ways, actually sort of separating yourself a bit and spending time alone can be very healthy. I mean, another mother who was saying she was worried about her daughter who had no friends. And I said, well, actually, sometimes that can be really healthy. It feels very painful at the time, but it's actually very healthy because it means you're not compromising who you are in order to try and fit in with something very difficult.
You know what I think? I think you become who you hang out with, as in you don't become them, obviously, but you adopt personality traits of them. And when you're alone and you don't have any friends, then the personality traits which you are adopting are your own. You discover who you are but the problem is that, like, you can be alone and be happy, and you can be alone and be very unhappy. You need to become okay and happy with the fact that you don't have anybody, and realize that in the future you will. You will gain more people.
Permanent.
Well, that's and then you can discover who you are, and then you can figure out all these things about yourself which you didn't know before.
No, I was just going to say that's like that thing where you know, if you want to know like the most about someone, look at their 5 closest friends. Like, you know, their 5 closest people, because it says a lot about who you are. Because we pick friends who mirror our values.
And who make us feel good about ourselves in a way. And so if those people are making you feel good because you like taking drugs with them, that's not
Right. But coming back to the question, I think toxic friendships are kind of, I think they're unavoidable to an extent, because if that person is causing that dynamic, it could be you. If all of your friendships turn out toxic, then maybe it's time to kind of take a step back and reflect and go, what is the actual causing the problem? Because it could be you, you know, and no one's perfect. Like, you might be causing, and then you have to reflect. But if you see one of your friendships heading that direction, then you know you need to reflect and go, is this something that's worth continuing?
I think one of the another really important thing is being able to take accountability.
Yeah.
So I think if you are in a friendship group, which is just inherently toxic, then everybody is contributing to that.
Yeah.
Not just, it's not like you can't just blame one person. You can't just be there. You like, it's you as well.
Yes.
And that doesn't say that you were a bad person. That just means that like, this is a bad situation. Maybe you should take some time alone, work on yourself, and then figure out what you want, who you are, and then go back into like the whole friendship thing and figure out like who like actually is there for you and who you are there for, and then figure out who your real friends are.
That's a beautiful point. And I think that taking accountability ourselves and also realizing that there are certain structures that repeat time and time again, and these big friendship groups, which we've talked about in previous episodes, and I'll put the link in this, they tend to have certain roles that people play. And once your child can recognize the roles, it helps them go, oh, actually, I think I'm playing a role rather than being myself. And part of the reason for that is because I'm in this structure, and it's not one person's fault. It's a dynamic. And maybe stepping away from that rather than trying to perpetuate it is going to be a much healthier option.
Yeah.
You know, so we talked about the queen bees and wannabes and the targets and all that stuff. So if you haven't listened to that episode, it's so powerful and such an interesting point. And the Queen Bees and Wannabes book is very, very useful for that. And so while we're on the subject of that, let's talk about pick-me girls. Mia, when I mentioned that, you just went, yeah, I would. And it was a mother who wrote and said, pick-me girls, I don't understand what it is. Is it just a TikTok thing?
No. It originated on TikTok. It's just a thing now.
Well, I mean, it's just, well, pick me is just a label, basically.
So actually, I looked it up. It said the term pick me first started on Twitter under the hashtag tweet like a pick me, which was used to mock women who fall under the guys girl category. And then pick me girl garnered 2.2 billion views on TikTok.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe it did start on Twitter then. The more I've thought about it, the more I've come to hate the term, because I think that...
So let's unpick what the term is.
Sorry, okay. So a pick-me girl really can range to anything now, which is the problem.
Oh,
but what it originally was a girl who pretends to be friends, well, who's friends with all these boys because she likes the male attention, and because like she's
not like other girls.
She's like, oh, I'm just one of the boys. I'm so small.
So different.
Don't put me. I'm so ticklish. Achoo. It's like that kind of thing.
And I thought we always do it in an American accent.
Yeah, right. Amelia, you really like Grey's Anatomy.
I love Grey's Anatomy.
This is like your Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, no,
you've never watched it.
So okay, well, you're missing out. If you guys haven't watched it, go watch it. Anyway, you're missing out.
There's an infamous 2005 monologue by Grey's Anatomy's Meredith Grey, which inspired a satirical trend. Go.
So it's like, pick me, choose me, love me.
So she
exaggerates the breathing in between as well.
Yes.
Because basically what was happening is, so he has a wife, and she only found out halfway into their relationship when they like decided to move in together and stuff. And the wife came back, and he was trying to decide between the two of them. And she asked him to, she literally begged him to pick her.
So so she starts out with pick me.
Don't chase. But the point is, don't chase.
You always come up with his great. So, rejection is redirection. Well, the thing is, some people look at her monologue and say it's a desperate plea.
If you're having to ask someone to pick
you, I mean, come on. And others say it's a genuine expression of love.
So what happened though was because she told him to fuck off basically before that. She was like, you have a wife, what are you doing messing around with me?
Yeah.
And then she realised that he was actually like, okay, I actually really love him, I might lose him. So she went and gave that speech.
Back to
but it's still very
yeah, she shouldn't have started it.
Yeah,
talk about
that. Actually explain the entire plot of
okay, so but coming back to the whole, one of the reasons I brought that up is because they mocked her and they used the whole pick me thing. But that's why, as you say, it's become a really generic thing where everyone is talking about pick me girls and as anything that you do.
Yeah, in an interview, her daughter was she was talking about how her daughter was telling her about all these pick me girls, and like Ellen Pompeo, so she's the actress, and she was like, "You realise that originated with me."
Oh, that's so funny. That's so funny.
But I would say now the term has definitely become a lot wider.
Oh,
and as you made a good point, which is that you can literally apply it to anything. But I think it's not just kind of being with the guys. It can also be comments about like, I can't finish. I can never finish anything on my plate. Like I'm just.
Oh my god, literally.
I've got such a small stomach. Like my jeans just never fit me. They always fall down.
Yeah, and
it's like my waist is too small. I'm just so small.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, it's so frustrating. I forgot to eat lunch today.
Yeah. And it might be coming from an authentic place where just someone is actually just frustrated with these small things, but like it's things that people tend to envy and certain people making them into a negative experience that they have have it.
Yes.
They're just so annoyed to have this thing that most people actually want. You know.
Oh god damn it! I'm just so petite.
Yeah,
I could fit in a suitcase. I'm just so petite. How dare! Like, oh.
So but I think it is being thrown around far too much now, and usually it is being used in a way to just put down.
Yes.
You know.
So interestingly, there was a book called Gone Girl, which really took off when it first came out. There's been a film since, and in it there was a line that really summed up this sort of way of thinking. And she was called a cool girl, but it's being the cool girl means I'm a hot, brilliant, funny woman who adores football, poker, dirty jokes, burping, who plays video games, drinks cheap beers, loves certain things about sex, and jams hot dogs and hamburgers into her mouth like she's hosting the world's biggest culinary gangbang while somehow maintaining a size 2 because cool girls are above all hot and understanding. Cool girls never get angry. They only smile in a chagrined, loving manner and let their men do whatever they want. I don't mind. I'm the cool girl. So that was also, I think there was an uptick of girls being really cool, going out drinking beer in the 90s.
One of the
lads. So that's another thing that I think people have been accused as being pick-me girls for. It's placing the value on activities, interests and habits traditionally championed by straight, cisgender, heterosexual men, sometimes to their own detriment.
But the thing is now, anything you say can be perceived as pick-me. Like if you want to put down a women, then it's really, really easy to.
Yeah.
There's this trend going around on TikTok right now, which is like when someone calls you so short, like what I can reply, and then it has all the different replies, and it's like pick me, like all of them are pick me because but you can't reply anything to
it's that. A way of policing language.
Yeah. But I guess this is a new version of, for example, if someone was working really hard at school, they'd be called a try-hard. Like a lot of things are being turned into negative things, and I'm not saying that it's necessarily like a good thing to go out of your way to seek attention from men, but like clearly a girl who does that might have some insecurities if she's just seeking validation from men and potentially abandoning her friends to go that far. So instead of pushing her down, maybe we should actually be addressing the real problem.
And also it's not just those women though. It's like you're friends with guys. Oh yeah,
exactly.
If you like sports, oh yeah, you'll pick me. If you like maths instead of art,
it's like if you try.
If you like science, you'll pick me.
If you're trying to do something slightly different.
Wow.
Yeah. Anything which is perceived as out of normal. Like if you're proud of your achievements, pick
that
me.
Makes me so pick me. I'm sorry. And the fact that I just said that makes you pick me as well.
So do you think there's an equivalent for boys?
I think boys are just a lot more blunt about it. Like they're rather than being like, I do think they call each other pick me.
Actually, I think that probably the male equivalent would be calling each other gay if you think about it, because being pick me is classically like having male friends and being friends with men, and being gay. I'm sorry, I'm not homophobic.
No. I realize that
being gay, like in air quotations, would be being friends with girls, like like dance, enjoying art, enjoying things that are classically female, feminine, like that kind of thing.
But
they're different meanings. But
I don't think men would see that as a guy trying to get with girls, though.
No,
they would see that as
No, but my point is, it's a way to put down men.
Yeah,
and liking things which are out of norm, and
like
put down women for liking things out of norm.
Yes, and just to back you up, Niobe Way, who's done 40 years of research on young boys says one of the worst things you can call another boy at a sort of 14, 15-year-old is gay, which is still happening now, which is still very much in the fore.
Very, very much.
Yeah, I think it's all sort of symptomatic of our aversion to otherness. Like, we're just constantly trying to...
Yes.
It's a way of controlling, belittling people who are trying to do something different.
Yes. Or be themselves.
Yeah, no.
So they're searching for, what am I? What is good about me?
Yeah.
How do I be this wonderful person that I am in the world? And you look for the things that make you special and great, because we all want to feel good about ourselves. That's normal human behavior. But then if you vocalize anything that makes you feel good about yourself, you're risking being called it sounds like it's a pick-me, right? Yeah. So to breaking it down a little bit, we've got the pick-me girls who are saying, oh, my waist is really small, and she's delivering that to other girls. Yeah. And then there are the pick-me girls who are trying to garner male attention and in doing so trying to put down other women for their femininity and saying, oh, I'm one of the boys and that makes me very special and pick me because I'm...
There's a difference between like one girl who's trying to be friends with boys and then the girl who's saying, oh yeah, my waist is so like slim.
I mean, I think we slap the same label on both.
Oh yeah, I completely agree. But the classic pick-me girl would be somebody who's like friends with all the boys, but then also has like this tiny waist and it's like this really, really beautiful woman, and who is proud of that and talks about it a lot and puts down other women because she's very like beautiful and wants the male attention more than she wants female attention and wants to stop other women from getting it.
So it's basically internalized misogyny,
pretty much.
Labeling other women as pick-me girls without really understanding that what you're doing is you're actually holding up a system that's making everybody feel horrible.
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I have been accused as being a pick-me by you in the past.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting because I, as a young girl, didn't grow up in any particular group. I moved so often that I didn't have a friendship group in the way that a lot of people develop. And when I did start being friends with girls, I think what happened is this desire to control does happen wherever you are. And I didn't like it. And so I stepped away. Yeah. So rather than trying to actually take part in it, I mean, I remember a girl turning to me when we were on our own and saying, I look so much better than you, when we were going out to an evening. Yes, it was really interesting. And I thought, wow, that's a really curious thing to say to someone who's supposed to be your friend. And rather than say something back to her, because I was so stunned, I just thought, okay, so you're just not my friend. That's not a nice thing for someone to say. But I think, and then I spent more time with guys only because they allowed me to just be myself. And I wonder whether a lot of these girls who get labelled as pick-me's are actually girls who are trying to step away from this really confining idea of what a girl should be, which starts very, very young, and trying to just be allowed to just be themselves.
I mean, that wasn't why I called you pick me. It's like comments which are like, okay, well, that's classically pick me, but the thing is, because you're not growing up in this day and age, you obviously don't see that.
Anything to me, yes.
Because like you don't know what a pick me is. You don't know if become as pick me or not.
That's why this mother has said, I don't understand it. What on earth are we talking about? And what about 10 things I hate about you?
Oh, I love 10 things I hate about you.
The point is, Kat Stratford could be argued, well, she's going against what the girls are doing. Yeah. She doesn't like what girls are doing.
She is, but she's
not a pick-me girl.
She's not pick-me.
So what's the difference?
Well, because she doesn't like male attention. She's not trying to get male.
Okay, so the only way you can distinguish yourself from a pick-me girl is to not be trying to get male.
The thing is with Kat is that she completely moved away from all the female attention, right? All the female gaze, all that. But she also moved away from male. She didn't want anything to do with anybody at that school. She was just over everybody. And the thing is, I think if this was real, as she actually did get called a pick-me, then she wouldn't give two shits either, because she was her whole thing was like, oh yeah, I don't care what you think, which is why she's not a pick-me. So because she wasn't trying to get attention.
It comes down to your intention. Basically, why are you doing this? If you're doing it to just like escape these like constraints that society puts on you, that's honourable. But if you're seeking male attention, male validation for that purpose, and you're like actively doing different things for that reason, that's seen as pick-me.
Interesting. Yeah. Right. So really the distinction is a pick-me girl is actually sitting inside this difficult hierarchy and this misogyny. She's not even realizing that she's actually playing a game.
Yeah,
rather than just
she's not playing
herself.
football because she likes football. She's playing football because boys.
She wants,
football.
yeah.
She's not drinking beer because she likes beer. She's drinking beer because the boys are drinking beer, and she wants to be one of the guys.
Yeah.
Yes,
you know?
and yes. When I finally found a best friend, we were united on the fact that we basically just wanted to be ourselves, and we didn't buy into all of
So
this.
I think that's also it. I think it's like people see through the fakeness.
Yeah,
and it's like if you're changing all of your behaviors to conform to one thing, it's just the same. It's like you're not conforming to being what's stereotypically a girl, but you're changing yourself to what's stereotypically like boy things, so that you can, you know, be friends, not even friends with the guys, but like get in there.
The thing is, girls are a lot more accepting. If you are hanging out with girls and you're completely changing who you are, what you're doing, everything about yourself to fit in with the girls, then that's fine. Whereas if you hang out with boys and you're changing everything to fit in with boys,
that's not. There's a standard.
Yes, and it should be fine for girls to be very girly if that suits them.
Yeah,
and it should be fine.
Absolutely.
And the problem is that actually one of the reasons this is such a great topic is it gives us an opportunity to say we need to stop looking at other people and criticizing what they're choosing.
Also, this is a bit off topic, but one of the things which I think everybody I know went through, other than like a select few of individuals, is the I hate pink phase. When it was never about the colour.
Interesting. What was it about?
It was about just like women trying to like be fit and be seen as like,
yes,
oh yeah, this is what a woman is, which is actually kind of awful, because like I don't know any boys who've gone through the I hate blue phase.
Right. I think we've covered this. I think actually that was a really interesting discussion. I think pick me, what we should be saying to our children about pick me is actually, rather than using that, maybe question why that's even a thing and whether we're using it to judge other people.
I mean, people don't really like, I wouldn't say to one of my friends, oh yeah, that's such a pick me thing to say.
You used to say it a lot.
Well, I used to say it to you.
Yeah.
But I would say that
I've heard it a lot.
Yeah? Okay, well.
So we need to be saying to our kids, actually, maybe let's drop the judgment. Thank you, girls. That was absolutely brilliant. I'm very grateful to you spending time with us. If you found this useful, please send it right now to at least one other person. You can email me on teenagersuntangled@gmail.com. You can go to my website, which is www.teenagersuntangled.com. And don't forget to follow the show. It makes such a big difference with the visibility of the show, and it really helps me get more listeners. And it costs you nothing. That's it for now. Have a great week. Big hug from me. Bye-bye, girls.
Bye.